So you made week 17, the best ball finals, best ball championships. You're sweating 6 figures, 7 figures, $2 million. But did you avoid the litany of injuries, player rest, combination of both, a little bit of injury and a little bit of player rest? Is your team live to take down the top prizes in week 17 best ball championships? That is what myself and Rob Coakley are here to discuss today and find out if you got a shot at $2 million.
It's been like 8 months and we've been waiting for week 17. It's finally here. And it's Josh Dobbs kicking off the slate for us.
Josh Dobbs,
just like we all planned.
Josh Dobbs and Hassan Haskins against Zeke and Malik Davis on Thursday Night Football. Like you said, just like we all planned. It really is. I've been talking a lot, so I'm curious about your take just overall on this week. Do you like just generally with all of these injuries, player rest, and everything? Like, is it helping your teams that advance? And how do you think it's like a bad thing for the slate, or just like kind of, there's fluky variants every single year, right? The Derrick Henry thing is probably never going to happen again, and injuries do happen, but just kind of in general, how are you feeling about week 17?
Well, I think people uncharacteristically of the fantasy community are overreacting because we never do that, right? Nobody ever reacts in the fantasy space. There's one new conspiracy theory at least a week in fantasy football. Big best ball is keeping all the influencers in the main tournaments. That's this week's conspiracy.
I forgot about that one. That was really funny.
Yeah, because like all the main best ball guys don't have a team in best ball mania, but conspiracy theories abound. It's great. It's good stuff.
Literally everybody. I bet you if you polled the people that tweet or do content about Best Ball Mania the most, and I would consider myself included in that. None of us are in Best Ball Mania finals.
None of
literally.
Us.
I mean, like there's somebody, like Karane's in it, right? And I know I'm Paul's in it. Other people are in it, but if that were to be true, overs that would be in, I would be in, you would be in. Eagles drafts more than anyone on the goddamn planet, and he didn't make it to the BBM finals. Like, clearly there is no great conspiracy here.
It's just sour grapes, right? Like, people just have sour grapes. As soon as somebody loses something, they want the format changed. There's never going to be a perfect format, but like, come on. But to go back to the thing, we're going to get this every couple years in week 17, just because you're going to have a team like Philly that runs ahead occasionally and has a 2-3 game lead on people, right? Like, it just happens. Like, but it's not going to be every year. A lot of years you're going to see what's going on in the AFC. The Chiefs and the Bills are fighting for first place still. They have to keep playing. Some of our better teams, the Bengals, are still in it. So like a lot of the main teams are still in it. Like, Derrick Henry has to sit. Fluky situation where week 17 doesn't matter, but week 18 matters for them. That's not going to happen.
How can you see that
often.
coming?
Yeah. So people are overreacting to it. I'm beside myself, Erik. Personally, we don't make BBM. My best tournament left is the puppy, and this roster. If you had shown me this roster that I drafted. Whenever I drafted it, but if you showed it to me while drafting season was going on and said, this is the team you have to root for in week 17, I would be beside myself. So I am beside myself. It's like, this is the team I have to root for. And I've talked myself into it because,
well, that's what we do.
It's so unique, right? That's what we want. We want unique, and boy, is it unique.
Is this the Najee team? Is this the Najee team?
This is the Najee team.
Yes, I love it.
So that's what I have going on. So if I win with this team, the roasting that I'm going to get is going to be nonstop, but I'll be $75,000 richer. So
you and Felix will be the only people celebrating. You're going to get ratioed. The first person in screenshot Twitter history to get ratioed. for having Najee. Shout out Felix. He's clearly rooting for Najee. I do just want to. I don't want to belabor the point about like the contest format and all that. It's been on Twitter. I've shared some of my thoughts on Twitter. I've shared my thoughts on. You and I have talked about it. It's been on tons of our content and stuff before. But I think what Alex says is pretty true. And it's also like it's not a judgment on other humans. But he says, I feel like best ball brings out the inner sore loser in a lot of people. It's weird getting mad and making excuses for not winning 500,000 person contests. Like, that's pretty true, right? Like, oh, I didn't make the finals of BBM. Well, you were a dog to make the final of BBM, even if you drafted 150 teams. Like, the math just, means you were probably not going to make it. That's just how it works. And then people want to say, okay, it needs to be more fair. Right. We need to reward the better teams. It's like, well, you didn't say that when you're better or worse teams advance to the playoffs. You're just saying it when it came to week 16. Right. Which, look, every human is, we all can be emotional. I get it. But all of the complaint, I'm not saying what Underdog and what DraftKings are doing is perfect, but I don't have a perfect solution. The rules are the rules. If this was the format of fantasy football, right? Whoever the John Wooden of fantasy football was, if they invented it as this and they said, look, you just get to pick guys. You don't have to set your lineups. You don't have to do anything, right? And then you make the playoffs and you're in this group and then you move on, right? If they had invented it this way, no one would be complaining because that's what we know and love. But it was invented in a certain, right? You've played it your whole life with scoring the most regular season points is a thing, right? Your league, your home league probably pays out for scoring the most regular season points. So it's just always been a thing, right? Regular season record is a thing in fantasy football. But in best ball, none of that shit matters. I don't care by a hair or by a mile. You got to get into the dance. And from that on, Cam Akers, was he a bad pick or a good pick? You tell me. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. But it's like this whole debate about like what's fair and we should reward the best teams. Like, what is the best team? The best team is the team that wins by the rules of the game you're playing. The best team is not what you think the best team should be. If you do think that, we have platforms for you to do that. Drafters is available.
Drafters.
If you want to play that
invented.
Play it. They have a $250,000 top prize.
We solved it. It's been solved.
It's not even like peanuts that you could go play for on Drafters. You can like make real money over there, and people are complaining about it on Underdog and DraftKings. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and then I talked about it. I will hit really quick before we dive in. We'll try. I want to go through about as much of week 17 and stuff as we can because somehow it does feel like week 18. So Jay Chang asks, are you reviewing more lineups on the show? If you want to drop lineups into oh God, I already forget what it's called, what channel it's called, the draft review submission. There's been a bunch, and I know I said I would review some more after we didn't get to all of them, but you guys are sickos, and also a shit ton of you made the finals, which is absolutely amazing. And so there's a ton in there. We'll try to get to as many as we can here on the show today. But I do want to talk through, we're kicking off week 17 tonight. Derrick Henry's not playing. Tony Pollard's not playing. Jalen Hurts is maybe playing. James Conner hasn't practiced. Austin Eckler hasn't practiced. Alvin Kamara hasn't practiced. It's Chris Olave has barely practiced. Like, it's a crazy, crazy week to figure out if you're even live in these turns. Like, I really don't have any idea.
Oh, baby, we are live. I have the team. I'm going to win $75,000. It's going to happen. It's a burden to bear that I have to talk about this team once I do for the rest of my life.
Do I have to pull it up?
Pull it up. Let's show them.
Oh, God.
All right, here we go. We would like for Jalen Hurts to play, but we have Jared Goff, which is good. Let's look at these running backs. We have Najee Harris. Ugh, it hurts to say. We have Dalvin Cook somehow. How do I get a Najee Dalvin Cook team? A, drafted, and B, through?
How did it get? Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm not going to waste time on this show. We'll talk about how this team even came to be in the offseason. But B, how is it in the fucking finals? Najee was I know Dalvin had a couple of good games fairly recently that helped, right? But they were awful, both awful the whole year. And it's not like they went for 40. It's not like Dalvin went for 40. Like, he didn't carry you. And Ramondre was shit. Ramondre turned to dust last week too. Like, I don't understand how this team got through.
But we got Ramondre, we got Devin Singletary. So, the RB core is somehow
it's pretty good, actually. And Dearness is obviously useless, but those are 4 good running backs.
There is no other Cook Harris team in the Puppy One final. There is only like 3 Najee teams and 4 Dalvin teams or something like that. So, like, the uniqueness is high.
Okay, the real uniqueness factor here, I know we're talking a lot about Najee because it's funny because we have a friend who's into Najee. Dalvin is a legit good leverage play this week. He plays the Packers. Justin Jefferson is the highest owned player in at least in
every tournament.
In VBM, I'm just assuming if he's not the highest, right? It's like him or Devonta Smith or Kittle or whatever. Like, he's right there. I mean, Kirk Cousins is the highest owned quarterback in the finals of Best Ball Mania 3 because of Justin Jefferson and a smidge of Hawkinson and Osborne. But like, Dalvin is a smash leverage play. Not just because he's unique and low owned. He literally has the better part of this matchup. The Packers have the last ranked DVOA run defense. If you're going to attack them, the Dolphins, I know that Tua lit it up for a half. Tua just got the ball to Waddle and Tyreek, and they did, Waddle ran like a Terminator for 75 yards. But like, Mostert and Jeff Wilson were absolutely eating on the ground. Dalvin could go for 150 and 2 in this game, and I would not be surprised. He's a legit good player to have this week.
Good. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind for when
I'm never saying it again.
What we're going to talk about when we're done reviewing this lineup. So then we're looking at I don't know why they do the layout on whatever. It's Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, Christian Watson, Jalen Waddle, LaVisca. This is that Odell William Fuller team, which is, why have 1 rabbit's foot when you can have 2 lucky rabbit's foots on your bench, right? But if Tyler Lockett plays this week, and if Christian Watson plays for that, that bring back with Dalvin Cook and
great
also
spot
TJ
for Chark.
Hawkinson.
Great spot for Chark. Hawkinson is good. Great spot for Cole Kmet as well this week.
Yep. So I like this team a lot just based on some of the leverage that I have on the running back spot. It's just, it's real good. And after you've talked it up so much, I am willing, Eric, to sell you half of this team for $25,000.
Jesus Christ. I was like remotely interested at first. I assumed something ridiculous was coming, but I was like, maybe we'll give him a little faith. But
no, but if we get Hurts playing and then we have that running backs and the wide receivers aren't bad, the tight ends are Hawkinson, Kmet. I think based on the running backs alone, with everything else, it feels like it's either top 10 or bottom 10.
That's exactly, because you have 4 good running backs, but they're really going to be the driver of the team, if I'm being total, like, in terms of how it does, right? Yep. And Dalvin and Najee could have, it's not an awesome spot for Najee, but you never know. It's a great spot for Dalvin, but Dalvin has shit the bed in great spots. It's the Vikings. It's what they do. Right. Ramondre could get Damian Harris back, but does that matter? We don't know. And then Singletary on Monday night, right, will be the if it's live, it's probably because you're going to be playing Singletary in the flex, because 2 out of 3 of those running backs, or all 3, have to smash, because the wide receivers are a little thin. But there's right. If Dalvin smashes, you got Christian Watson on the other side, Kmet and Chark, and like, there's a lot of different nice little correlations that can help it get there just a smidge easier than some other teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun sweat for this team. It goes against everything I was doing in most of my teams, 90% of my teams, right? Like, there's no Chief on this team. I had a Chief wide receiver on probably 95% of the teams, at least some sort of player from them. I have no Bengals. I do have the one Buffalo Bill. I went running back, which I didn't do too often. And I never
Najee and Dalvin.
I never like, if you looked at my total ownership, I think when we did it, it was like 4% or less on both of these guys overall. And you're seeing these teams, and I'm just guessing that I drafted this team very, very early in the off season or something like that. I mean, clearly it's the first puppy, so we could get the window, but it's remarkable when you draft players that did well. I have one Mahomes out of 4 finals, and I drafted Mahomes more than anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it shows you that even taking player stands, it doesn't always matter. It's still hard to get those teams through. Even if you pick right, even if you pick the right player, it's hard to get those players through. Right.
I kind of already shit, these dogs have endless energy. It just drives me absolutely nuts. I would love to have the amount of energy that these guys guys have. I just wanted to share mine just to piggyback. I kind of talked through mine the other day, but for people that didn't see or whatever, I have 3 DK finals teams. And Pollard is on my Millie team. This is my Millie Maker team, which I won't run through it all, but I can survive no Pollard on that team, actually, which is really bizarre for me to say with how bad my running backs are on really any team I drafted this entire season. But this one actually has Singletary, let me see, Ramondre, McKinnon, James Cook, and maybe somebody else in here too. So like on a 0 RB team that has Jefferson, but if Debo were to play, that would be, again, I'm not expecting really anything but Debo, but without Pollard, if I also lose Debo, I think the team is probably dust for the Millie. But I was going to bring it up because I really didn't draft Debo. It's like the second round was AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill and CD and RIP Kyle Pitts, and Saquon for a long time. And there was like no Debo really for me at all, especially on DraftKings. I would draft him on I think he was a little better on Underdog, but I really never took him on DraftKings. And like you said, all of a sudden he shows up in my best Millie. I maxed the Millie Maker. I made one team through to the final, and there's Debo Samuel. And not just Debo Samuel, there's where's Adam Thielen. Same guy. Did I ever draft Adam Thielen? No. And maybe I was trying to, who knows? Maybe I was trying to set up a Viking stack and Cousins was still around or something, and I got sniped because I don't have Cousins. But I have Jefferson and Thielen. But it's like, I don't really know how this team came to be, but I have some guys. Deontay Johnson is on this team. He's my Najee. Like, I was legit stone fading Deontay Johnson. Like, yeah. I literally didn't want him on teams. I know some people liked him. That's totally fine. But I didn't. And he, again, Debo, Deontay, Thielen, all showing up here on this team. And then I think there was just maybe 1 or 2 guys that happened to
I'm looking at that last team because you have like the one guy that I think is the biggest like leverage play of the entire Week 17 finals, and it's Travis Kelce.
Yeah. I think Dalvin might actually be the biggest leverage play. Well, that's the true. Tight end. The only reason he may not be is because the tight end thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think having Kelce, just the amount of points that he could score versus every other tight end. I mean, we saw the tight end explosion last week, but who's live for like that type of output consistently? It's Travis Kelce, and that's it right now. And if you got a Kelce team through to a finals, I have one Mahomes Kelce stack in a super flex that I'm not like overly sweating. I'll probably win it because of that.
Yeah,
right. I just think it's a great spot to be. But your team's gonna live and die tonight. It looks like you just got to kick it off strong with CeeDee Lamb. Right
Isn't this it? Sheepcast says Hassan has. Can you imagine this run out? This is the Darrington Evans run out.
Yeah.
If it actually came to be how I hoped it was going to happen with Darrington Evans last year. So for anyone that doesn't know, that maybe you just started listening this year or recently this week, maybe Darrington Evans was my guy last year. I was taking a stand against Derrick Henry as a first round, top 5 pick in fantasy. And that looked like it was going to be the spike week. Might not be here if Derrick Henry would have stayed healthy last year, because that was one of the worst calls of all time as he was en route to just destroying fantasy. But the thesis was, if he goes down, I want his backup, or just even like something happens, the offense changes, whatever. So Darrington Evans was his backup. Well, Darrington got hurt in the preseason and came back, but basically really never played. Donta Foreman turns into a superstar, and I don't get to reap the benefits, even though the bet that I made hit, right? I hit fade Derrick Henry, and here's what you should do when you fade Derrick Henry. Sheepcast really hit. Hassan Haskins in week 17 is going to get the Hassan Haskins game. You can't ask for it to come at a better time from a 20th round running back when we're dying for running backs, dude. We may lose. Like I said, we may lose Connor. We may lose. I mean, who knows? Tomorrow we'll know. Connor, Kamara, right? Eckler, all these guys are hurt or sick. We don't really know what's going on with them. We already lost Pollard and Henry, and it's his highest owned player makes the finals. Doesn't have him when it all came to fruition. That is the cruelty of the best ball gods right there.
It goes both ways. Right now, I have Tony Pollard on one of the 4 teams I have left, but I have no James Conner, no Austin Eckler, no Derrick Henry. I have none of the other guys that might be out are on my rosters. I'm like, ooh, we might do some things this weekend because of this running back spot.
That's what I was just gonna close mine with is, lost Pollard in the Millie, probably won't have Debo, or at least not a really right. I'm trying to beat 1,000 other people. I don't know that Debo's gonna help me get there. I actually like the quarterbacks on that team. Evan Ingram's fine, whatever. But in the $25, I feel like I'm like sun running. Hurts. So I get Hurts through, and Hurts returns to practice. Miles Sanders came back to practice today, which was a slight scare that he wasn't practicing on Wednesday. But no Pollard on this team, no Connor, no Kamara, no Henry, no nobody. I mean, I got my own share of dusty running backs, but like, at least Amir Abdullah is technically going to be out there. Who knows? The Raiders are shutting it down. I don't know, but it has Jags, Eagles, Jefferson, CD, a good team with my fair share of Bills and our boy Gabe Davis. Like, I don't know, it in the $25 where there's only 54 people with all this chaos. I feel like I got a little lucky. Now, like you said on the flip side, I feel like I say this and it's not going to matter when Sunday comes around, but at least in terms of expectations on Thursday, I feel happy to so far have avoided the total shit show.
Yeah, it feels good. The other thing that I have that I'll wrap my teams up with, we won't get into all my teams, but of my 4 teams, I have no Justin Jefferson. Not one of my teams has Justin Jefferson. And it's not like I wasn't drafting him. I think I had 8 to 10% across or more across all tournaments. And Jefferson's on every team, and I don't have him. And it's like, well, we got leverage, but we might get buried quick. With
noon at 1:15 your time on Sunday when Jefferson, goes like he does this all the time though too, is the funny thing. He has that like 6 for 70 and a touchdown on the first drive, and like mostly from a DFS perspective, I just remember being like, fuck me, like my slate is over because Jefferson just scored 20 points on the first freaking drive of the game.
Yeah, so and they're going to try to get him the ball too. We know all this. I'm just hoping he gets down the field. Dalvin punches in a 20-yard touchdown. Hawkinson gets the other touchdown. Jefferson's left, especially on underdog where it's a half-point PPR, no bonus. Like, he could score 12, 13, not get in the end zone, and you still feel fine about it.
This is such a good take from Alex. Jefferson's first half fantasy points over on Prize Picks. Just bet it every single week because do they have first drive fantasy points? Because that dude literally smashes every first drive. But to your point, underdog versus DK, like I have Jefferson on 2 of my 3 DK teams, my 2 better ones that I'm more rooting for, and I would feel much more worried about fading him on DraftKings. Yeah. Because he's just every week is right lock in and 6 or 7 catches. And like, if he does that, he's going to sniff the bonus. And that's just 20 plus points right there, like right off the rip. And so like, if he's just going to get 20 every week, he's chasing records and shit now too. It's like, but that could be, Evan Ingram went like 9 for 120 or whatever, something like that on underdog last week and was like the tight end 8. Yeah. So like, Justin Jefferson doing that doesn't really matter on underdog with half PPR.
I do have a question in the chat asking me if I got any Jamar Chase teams through, so I will talk about it. I do have in the Pomeranian 2 finals a Joe Burrow double stack T. Higgins Jamar Chase team.
Ooh,
with really bad running backs. But it is what it is. It's like Leonard Fournette, Damian Harris, if he comes back, would be nice. Brian Robinson, it's not the worst. Kareem Hunt.
no, that's not bad.
It's not the worst. It could be worse. It's got Higbee. It was the Higbee Kittle team. It's got Evan Ingram,
Unbelievable.
Trevor Lawrence, Zay Jones, Juju, Devonta Smith. So yeah, we're alive.
It's a good team. It's a good team. I also think we have to, and everyone watching, I've been slowly lowering my expectations for what are good running backs on teams in the finals. Early in the week, like again, that best team that I have, I was like, oh God, I need Miles Sanders, and then I need to luck box double digits from somebody else. And just as more running backs keep getting picked off, and not replaced with viable guys, right? Like, I mean, even the guy who probably had the most, Hassan Haskins, in the chat is like, I couldn't even get him to the final. You're not all that worried about, right? Hassan Haskins and the whatever, Latavius Murray's, and like Silas, who drafted, Silas said something about Keontae, that he wasn't able to get, he probably drafted more Keontae Ingram than anybody in best ball. And if Connor doesn't play, even he won't have a Keontae team. So it's just like so many irrelevant dudes are the kind of next man, right? The Saints, if Kamara doesn't play, I don't actually even know who is the next man. David Johnson. David Johnson is the backup in New Orleans.
Or is Benjamin going to get all the run?
God, that would be hilarious if he got back. He became relevant again in week 17, although they play the Eagles.
He's on this double stack team that I have, which would be fun.
Dream's not dead for old Eno on his third team. On his third team.
Yeah. It's gonna be such a fun week 17 because of the chaos. Right? Like,
oh yeah.
So let me ask you this. Are you still doing like your normal DFS slate? Or you just want to sweat your best ball?
Mostly just sweat my best ball teams. I'm gonna do more like prize picks, and obviously I'm in a legal sports betting state, so I can bet props and games and stuff like that. That I don't think that will interfere with like my sweat. But this isn't just like any Joe Schmo like sweating their best ball team. This I've made this my career basically. So it's like this is the Sunday that we've been waiting for 9 months or whatever. And so I'm going to try to just enjoy it pretty much as best I can. If it doesn't go well, right? If whatever you need on the noon games, sorry, I'm in the central time zone. They start at noon here. Like if it sucks, I could play the afternoon slate. You can play the Sunday night showdown. Which I guess that's a Ravens Steelers, which I don't think that would be somehow taking a step backwards from losing in best ball. But you know what I mean? There's ways to go get your fix in if you really want to. I don't think I'm going to go too hard on DFS this Sunday.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go too hard, and then I received a DM about splitting some funds from a best ball team and throwing in nice. some single entry stuff. So we're gonna throw some stuff together for that.
Yes, Anthony. When you tout Darrington Evans last year and Kyle Pitts and Javonte Williams and Trey Lance this year, you need your finals teams to run good so that people forget about all the horrible shit you said for 6 months.
Oh, bone to pick with you, by the way.
I don't know.
You played the shanty on a show either yesterday or the day before,
and
you brought up some of the points, and you conveniently left out the line about Trey Lance being a bust. So
strategic. That was strategery right there.
I wasn't I'm usually not able to watch every show, but luckily I was able to catch that one, and I caught that. That was what stood out the most about that show to me, was you just avoiding the Trey Lance line, trying to dunk on me for the ETN line.
You're goddamn right I did. I gotta take it for my own street cred, but no, honestly, I just wasn't. Trey Lance has been so far out of sight, out of mind for such a long time that it didn't even totally resonate with me. I was gonna ask just on the. We'll get to some actual the week 17 discussion, but we're sweating all this, figuring out all this best ball stuff as we go, just like everybody else is. So I feel like it's relevant. Would you rather not play DFS? Like if you play DFS, or even if you like bet on the NFL or whatever, would you rather not do it and just sweat your best ball teams? Or would you rather, 3-part question now, or would you rather jam your players you need in best ball into DFS, or, bet overs on their props or whatever, or do the opposite, right? Fade those guys, maybe play the guys you need. Like you don't have Jefferson.
Right.
Play him in DFS, right? Play a Cousins Jefferson team or whatever, as opposed to just sweating the stone cold fade. What would you prefer between those three?
I mean, I would want to say the Jefferson one, but he is going to be so incredibly owned, I think, this week, just because everyone knows they're chasing the record with him and stuff. So now, like, you have to fade him in DFS too. So it's going to be a sweat against Jefferson. I'll play the guys that I can't incorporate the best ball teams into the DFS stuff. It just can't be something that I look at. I have to, I'm not going to go. I mean, I know Najee's playing Sunday night, but if he was playing in the main slate, I'm not going to go jam a goddamn Dalvin Cook Najee team just because I have him in the puppy finals, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, now I got to play Najee and Dalvin Cook together, obviously. Like, no, I can't do it. I already got to puke enough over that team. I don't want to do it a second time. Although it'd be unique, probably. No one else would probably do it.
Exactly. Can we just talk about Felix saying I played my guys last year in DFS and profited? Yeah, no fucking shit. You profited. You played your guys in DFS on week 17. You scored like 10 million points and won $1 million. We know that you, of course, you probably made a shitload in DFS that week too. So it was not just $1 million you won in best ball. You probably made thousands and thousands in DFS playing all those guys. 100% Najee in showdown. Najee captain showdown team.
I just want to point out, like, who's the real Najee truther? I'm the guy with him on a finals team. Where are you, Felix?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, so I think that's the way I'm approaching the DFS stuff. Like, it's just going to be the normal process. It's not going to incorporate the best ball. If I had, what I would say is if I had one of my, like, high stakes one in there, Josh, we love Najee this week.
So good. There's so way too much Najee talk. Constantly, but it's funny.
It's just so weird. That's what I've been reduced to. Like, I think I sent you a DM we were chatting the other day. I'm like, I don't know what I want to happen here, because if I win with this, I'm never going to hear the end of it.
I know. It's so good.
Yeah.
I want to hit and segue into some of the like week 17 matchups, and maybe, some guys that you're excited for, or this is more. Gerardo says Jefferson is going to get the Jair Alexander shadow, and meaning he's maybe a little more pessimistic, or not necessarily pessimistic on Justin Jefferson, because I don't think that's a possible thing, but maybe that if there's going to be a spot where maybe he doesn't blow away the field for the first time in what seems like 2 months, maybe it is this week. One thing I'll say is that Jair's not the same old Jair anymore. He really has just been like, you don't really fear Jair, and Jefferson has the advantage here. It's one of those things where, like, we got so used to it with like Darrelle Revis, Stephon Gilmore for a stretch, right? Jalen Ramsey for a stretch, where those guys were literally better than all the other the best wide receivers. Those corners were better. I don't know that we have one of those guys anymore. Like Ramsey's definitely not that guy. Sauce is probably that next guy, and he hasn't outside of Diggs and some Tyreek and stuff, he hasn't played a ton of them. But anyway, we don't really have that corner guy, and Jair's not that guy. Jefferson, I believe, just cooked him up and cooked the Packers up. Week 1 or something like that. So it's been a long time. I'm not saying that it's not like a reasonable thing to bring up for Justin Jefferson's matchup. It's better than him playing, the Lions or whatever. That if you're fading him, that's for sure. But if you have him, I'm not like, aren't you worried? I'm not worried about Justin Jefferson.
No, he's the best receiver in the league. Like 1A, 1B's probably Chase. Like, I'm not worried about him. I still wouldn't be worried about him against Sauce Gardner. And Sauce Gardner is like a legit lockdown corner. Like, he is nasty.
Right, but
Jefferson is just so
Jefferson is
good.
better. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not just he has a tough matchup. The corner has a tough matchup because no one can guard Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if we're just getting way into the weeds, but even if like he was playing the Jets, I wouldn't even put Sauce Gardner on Justin Jefferson. I would just bracket him. You're better off just bracketing him against.
Let Sauce take away single hand. The Dolphins did a lot. That's what the Dolphins did to Chase. If you recall, T. Higgins went nuts against the Dolphins because all they did was just double Chase and let T go free, one-on-one all day, and Burrow just peppered T. That's what I mean, same thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's enough defensive coverage talk probably for the spike week.
I fucking played defensive back for a long time in my life. This is my bread and butter. We got to mix it in every once in a while.
Yeah, it was a free safety. We know. That's what we do here. We are DBs at heart, playing on offensive game.
Yeah, exactly. So I've talked. We joked about the ETN thing from the Shanty, but I've talked about him being a guy who I'm really like. If you were able to get ETN through, that's why I'm pissed about my best BBM team not getting through. If you're able to get ETN through, he's like probably my favorite guy to have gotten through. I mean, I think Dalvin is the greatest leverage, but ETN's probably pretty good leverage too. The Jags are certainly not low owned. I know they didn't do great last week, but Lawrence and Zay and Kirk and Ingram have been so good all year that in any contest, they're certainly not going to be low owned. But ETN hasn't been awesome since that one run 2 months ago or whatever it was, and now he gets the Texans. And so ETN is probably that guy for me that I'm like, man, if you were able to get him through, you should feel really, really good. He's leverage, just like Dalvin is, right? And he's really high upside in an awesome matchup. Do you have anybody like that just has like really hit home with you that doesn't have to be leverage either? It could just be a guy you're excited for this week.
I mean, I would have liked to get Christian Kirk through on one of these 4 teams. I had a high percentage of them. Same team as Travis Etienne. Hasn't really been doing much the last couple weeks at all.
Right.
So this could be a great get on the same page game with Trevor Lawrence. Right. And the thing that's going to kill you for Travis Etienne is Etienne's going to get all the run, and then Jamal Agnew is going to come in and score like 2 rushing touchdowns against the Houston Texans. Like,
I'm all in, Jags.
My
teams are all Lawrence. I have Lawrence, Zay, Kirk, Ingram. Ingram is probably my most important player because he's that tight end, and I need my tight ends suck. So, like, trust me, I'm not rooting for ETN anymore. But I'm just saying, if I were to have gotten a guy through, I think Kirk is a good one too, because Kirk, right? Zay and Ingram are going to be the guys that show up most. So, like, you don't have leverage with Lawrence, but you have leverage off of the other Jags guy. If he does his thing like he did earlier this year, right? 8 for 140 and 2 or whatever. You're not going to be fending off as many Kirk teams as you will Zay teams if Zay goes off. What about we should talk really quick. I don't want to talk that much about this Thursday night game, but I do have 67% of my teams.
I think I just remembered that I have to do the showdown slate tonight for RG.
Oh, thank God. I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of fun. Is Josh Dobbs even in the
I don't know.
Player pool? That'll be a lot of fun. But I do want to hear what you think about this game, like what maybe you think the Cowboys will do. Can the Titans at all keep this close enough to push Dak and the Cowboys to do something? And I'm mostly asking because signed the guy with CeeDee Lamb on two really needs a good CeeDee game.
Do you think that if things aren't going well for the first couple drives for the Cowboys, they just kind of downshift and just do what they can to get the game over with type of deal? Because what are they playing for?
Well, they technically can still get the bye and win the division. Technically,
yeah. I mean,
it's low probability, of course, but it's still because they won last week. That made this game actually relevant for them, basically, and for the Eagles too. And so it's
so you're gonna want to write out the jump, I think. So, like, if CeeDee's going to do something, it's going to be before halftime to start.
Right. 6 for 100 and a touchdown in the first half or something.
Yeah. So we're not, I'm guessing you're not going to be looking at it on the back half unless he breaks one off like first play of the third quarter or something like that. I mean, it's live, of course. Tennessee's sucks pass defensively. They're awful. So it just feels like they might go up 2 scores, and Dallas is just a grinded out team at that point. They're just going to lean on Zeke. They'll lean on the other back. What's his
Malik
name?
Davis.
Malik Davis. Which throws me off because you don't want to say Malik Willis, right? Like,
Yep.
But yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of Malik Davis, which no one has on any of their best ball teams.
No, that's another thing. He could get like the whole second half. Like, they called up somebody, I forget who it was, some dusty running back, but like it could just be Malik Davis. And again, that's another. Both of these teams tonight. That's 2 out of the 32 teams that could be playing running backs that are not even in any of the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this could be a very low relevant fantasy game, but yeah, Schultz could get there, CD could get there. I don't know who are you even rooting for to get there in Tennessee? Who else do you have on these teams? Like, I have
Burks is playing, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have any of these guys, but Burks.
I mean, there can't be a ton of Burks teams, I would assume. Like,
I don't think so.
You're not. I'm guessing like if Burks does something for you, you're happy if he gets you anything. I don't know. Like, this game, you would have felt it would have been more fantasy relevant than it was. And then you start to think about it. We were already low on Tennessee Titans going into the year. I was, at least. I didn't think. I thought Derrick Henry was the only viable one. He was a first rounder. We were already fading him at that spot for the most part. We wanted Burks here and there. It's just Tannehill's out. Like, it's just not a fun way to kick off week 17.
If Tannehill and Henry were playing today, the conversation we'd be having right now would be very, very even with their offensive line is shit, and that's been a huge problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had Tannehill and Henry, they could punch back. 100% they could punch back, even with a bad offensive line. I know it's a really bad matchup for a bad offensive line, but Burks, Robert Woods stinks, but Derrick Henry, Burks, Robert Woods, Westbrook Akine, Chiga Okonkwo looks pretty good, right? That group could score a few times on Dallas, and so then Dak would have to go ham, and without Pollard, I guess Zeke could be a thing, but I just
they're gonna sit guys once they go up.
One thing I keep going back to though is like every single time we do this song and dance almost weekly. If you play DFS, right? In best ball, we probably lose sight of it because we don't track we don't analyze every game week to week. This happens frequently, especially in the second half where you're like, Chiefs, Texans, who's getting the ball in the Chiefs in the second half when they're up by 24, right? And the next thing you know, it's in overtime.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I bet the Cowboys. Like I'm not saying that I think that this is going to happen. This Titans team might be one of the worst groups we've ever seen, in my opinion, in the NFL. This current version, without Henry and Tannehill and the offensive line and stuff. But and they're missing 8 defensive starters. That's the other thing. Like, they don't have any.
Yeah, it's not just offensively.
No, 8. It's worse on defense. It's really bad. So anyway, I just
and that D line for Dallas, like it's just, like we have the whole any given Sunday thing, but it's Thursday.
I just can't see. We could do it with the Texans and stuff. You're like, Mills and Driscoll did it against the Cowboys, and like, the offensive line actually isn't that bad for Houston. Blah 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 blah. We could tell ourselves a story. You tell me what the story is that the Titans, can score 21 here or something. I don't see it. So
some real fluky turnover type situations is the only way it would even begin to happen. So
fumbled snap, block punt, something like that. I think that's what you're rooting for, is like somehow they get a stop, block a punt, return it to the house or something like that. That's probably what I'll be rooting for as a CD stand tonight.
Are you happy they flexed Pittsburgh, Baltimore into Sunday Night Football this week? Or would you have rather them just stay with Rams and Chargers?
Rams Chargers for fantasy,
right? Like, wouldn't you like? Because I would.
Rams just hung 50 on the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, just based on the 4 teams alone, if I'm the NFL execs, it'd be like people are going to be looking for Charger games more. I would think if they go for the rivalry game. I don't know.
The problem is that game has playoff implications. Steelers, Ravens does, and they always err on that side. And the only thing I will counter with your point about what people want to see, there ain't no goddamn football fans in LA. They can't even sell half the stadium out when the teams are good. The Steelers, these ass clowns that keep showing up to these Steelers games just to be disappointed for 15 years or whatever, they're packing the stadium when it's 10 degrees outside. So,
locally.
That's probably
locally. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, in general, like, all these TV networks, that this is playoff week.
How many games do you think that you would rather see less than Steelers Ravens on Sunday night?
Oh my God. And I have to watch it now. Like, it's so gross.
Yeah, I have Deontay. You have Najee and I have Deontay on two of our most important teams of the whole season.
I'm gonna be breathing through a paper bag the entire game, trying to watch, Huntley versus Najee Harris on prime time to win $75K. It's just gonna be the absolute stone worst.
Felix is going to the game. The LA Bowl. Low key, that game got a lot more exciting over the course of the last couple of weeks. Chargers got healthy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't imagine many people got Keenan through, and I'm not sure it really matters because I'm not sure he has the upside. But my God, if he's going to get 16 targets every single week, it's in the range that he scores 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams is back. Gerald Everett is going to be the next thing you guys cover on Hometown Ghost Stories from last week. And maybe they won't have
Gerald Everett.
Gerald Everett. We spent the whole show the other night being like, well, if Gerald Everett gets 30, he got as many points as I did. I got as close to scoring 30 as Gerald Everett did. That was wild. But what if Eckler doesn't play? Herbert in this past game just got a lot more fun. The Rams, maybe it's a fluke, but I don't know. The Broncos defense is just as good as the Chargers defense. If they can push back, you could see 60 points in this game or something, I think. And we did not expect that 2 weeks ago.
No, you have that Rams defense not playing people that are like Aaron Donald and stuff like that. Baker Mayfield, as much as he's not a great quarterback, he's still somewhat competent. Can still get some people the ball here and there.
Yeah.
And the Chargers are the Chargers. Sometimes they're going to hang 40. Sometimes they're going to look like the worst team in the NFL. And sometimes they're going to do both.
6 field goals. Yeah. Right. They score 40 and look horrible at doing it. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's incredible. So I saw a report that the team that needs to get Sean Payton is the Chargers. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You get Sean Payton over on the LA Chargers, that would make that team a lot of fun because they've just been the same team for 25 years now.
This is a good one by Alex. He was surprised. Vikings Packers would have been a good one.
But that would have been a great one.
The Packers are playing obviously divisional rivals, right? Have had a lot of good games over the years in good weather in Minnesota. Good weather because it's in a dome in Minnesota, and Green Bay has to win every game down the stretch. And
has to win every game. Minnesota is still in the hunt,
still alive
for
the bye, right?
And one of the highest offenses. Sorry to keep talking over you, but it makes more sense.
At minimum, playing for seeding, right? Because Dallas, San Fran, they're playing for, everybody's playing for stuff, and that's a great rivalry. I mean, I guess Ravens Steelers is a rivalry too. But if we're picking rivalry games, let's pick the one that actually is like you can watch it without gouging your eyes out.
But it does everything for your viewership. It's the Week 17. It's not just best ball finals. It's everyone's fantasy finals. If you're in a legitimate league, this is the week that you end. If you still end in Week 18, what are we doing? Why are you in that league? The executives should know that. And again, like you said, it's a divisional rival. It's got playoff implications. It literally has everything you want. It has Justin Jefferson, the most exciting player in the NFL right now. Everyone's going to be sweating.
The most controversial.
Hijacking airplanes to get to the stadium. Con Air,
dude, every time he takes his helmet off, I can't keep a straight face. It's Con Air. He looks like Con Air.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So that is the game. How do you not flex that game? I think networks can hold a game or something like that too. So
right,
that's
probably what GA said. It's just
it's
just dumb. It's all dumb. We have to watch this god awful game on Sunday night.
And root for Najee.
Awful. I might rather root for Najee than Deontay Harris. Even when Deontay gets the ball, it's like, oh look, Deontay, a 3-yard catch.
He had my
It's like,
favorite play of the season this year. Last week or the week before, he caught the ball, had the end zone right in front of him, and ran backwards.
backward. He does that shit all the time. It's insufferable. Like, I know that it's a thing, right? You catch it because the defender's going to be coming. You do, but like, have some fucking awareness. Don't do it every single time you catch the ball.
Oh, it was so good.
The game we didn't talk about that I do want to talk about before maybe we can pull up some people's teams for 10 or 15 minutes.
Yep.
Is Lions Bears.
Oh yeah,
I know you have Goff on a team, you have Chark on a team. I have a little bit of exposure in that game, a little more on the Bears side, but that's kind of like, we've talked about a lot of these other games because there's injury concerns and motivation concerns and resting concerns and all that. But neither of these teams, I don't think, are resting anybody. The Lions are still technically playing for the playoffs, and the Bears are probably trying to find out who the fuck's going to be on their roster next year around Justin Fields. And so with these two defenses, but also with these two offenses having the juice that they have, the Lions a little more so than the Bears, this is like the Coors Field game of the slate, right? This is the game that like both of these teams could go score 40, I think.
Yeah, and the Bears side's so interesting because they could put up 40 and only Justin Fields accounts for 90% of the fantasy points, right? I mean, I have Kmet on that team, so I'm hoping for some pushback with Kmet. But yeah,
Byron Pringle. I have Byron Pringle on one of my teams, so yeah, I'm sure that'll work.
I have Velas on one of my teams, so that's
we're
rooting
for all the absolute scrubby Bears. But
this
if
is what
there's a
happens,
spot, dude. But if there's a spot, like if you want a pipe dream, right? I don't want a pipe dream about Jair Alexander shutting down Justin Jefferson. That's not a good pipe dream to me. A pipe dream is like, dude, the Lions have gotten ransacked recently. A little bit more on the ground last week. My God, the Panthers ran for like 400 yards, but still, DJ Moore got there, Terrace Marshall got there. Like the defense was horrible again. And if it's like that this week, why can't one of those guys catch two? Why can't Cole Kmet catch 2 touchdowns this week? He can.
Another good leverage spot from this game. I would love to have DeAndre Swift on a best ball finals team, right? We're talking about all these running backs that are getting hurt and stuff. If you have DeAndre Swift, like, yeah, he might not go nuts, but he's capable of putting up like an explosion game, especially against Chicago of all the teams. Jamal Williams has come back down to earth, right? That regression's starting to hit. Mm-hmm. You might get some sort of like dump offs the Swift that he just houses. Just see what he was doing at the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of ways that this game could break. Amon-Ra, of course, always, right? Like,
what a week to have Amon-Ra, though, because his ownership has come down like gradually every single week. And now you get him against the Bears. That's the dream, man. You get, he projects. We did this with, who do we do this with? Chase, maybe? Something like that. Anyway, where we were like, here's what he projects as, right? Like using Rotogrinder's projections for the week. Amon-Ra is only Justin Jefferson projects for more fantasy points than Amon-Ra this week. Main slate again, but I think it's probably all slates because I don't even think Diggs or Chase project better than Amon-Ra this week.
I can't imagine that they do.
Yeah. Not in those matchups. Whereas Amon-Ra has the best matchup on the board of any wide receiver. So like, if you have I probably should have brought Amon-Ra up with the ETN thing, like around. Yeah. He's probably the wide receiver you want the most because he's not 2% owned, but his ownership got held in check just through kind of random variance, and now he's a stone cold smash.
Scott threw it up in the chat for us. He's not Amon-Ra is 9%.
I was trying to look it up.
3. So 9% own Amon-Ra, like smash.
That's
right?
Killer. Yeah,
absolute smash. Like great leverage on a player that we love, that we were right about. 5th round pick, I think, most of the year. 5th, 6th round.
Yeah. I do just want to touch on this. Modog brings up, I think the Bears Lions was a bottom 5 matchup during the summer. I would actually totally disagree. I specifically wrote a piece about like if you're going to think about some kind of potentially actual matchup related stuff in week 17 as opposed to just strictly correlation, that Bears Lions is when you should go hard at. The reason why I have as much Fields as I do, I was like, I liked Fields, of course. He's clearly my kind of a quarterback, but I wasn't like in love. You probably go back and catch Rob and I's conversations about the Bears, and we're just like, holy shit, this is going to be bad with their offense. But I went after Fields and Mooney and Kmet, really just those three, and little Valus. But Khalil Herbert, who Scott has on his BBM team, all those guys, not because they're playing the Lions, but like the correlations worked out. I think that this game was maybe the most this was by far the best chance to be last year's Lions Seahawks. This game was by far, right? The bad team shootout. It was this, maybe Jags Texans, but it was probably this game was always that one where, right, Swift, Amon-Ra, Chark, Jameson Williams, what used to be Hawkinson, Kmet, Mooney, all these guys, you just want to get them to week 17. They may not be the best picks all year, but I think that this game was always really appealing.
Yeah, but I think we were right on both sides of the fence with the Bears, right? Because other than Justin Fields, who have you really wanted on the Chicago Bears this year? So it's like it's gonna be such a weird study in the future where we look at this Bears team and it's like, if you wanted the Bears, you were right. If you didn't want the Bears, you were right. And the only player that did anything was Justin Fields. So, but we were all on Detroit for the most part. Everyone liked pieces of Detroit. So whether it was Amon-Ra, DeAndre Swift, Chark was a popular, pick around his ADP. Don't forget Hawkinson started off on this team, and we were taking Hawkinson around there. My team was a double stack for Jared Goff with Hawkinson and DJ Chark, and now it's a double stack with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. Like it's just interesting. But Detroit, you could have easily accidentally had a lot of Chicago with Detroit, just based on if you were trying to take a Detroit player in most drafts.
All right, I want to hit some. There's been so many people dropping their teams and stuff in here. This is a good one from Bruce.
3%.
3%.
Nice.
Stefon Diggs is real nice. I know he hasn't popped off, and so you feel a little bit uncomfortable, right? You basically have Diggs versus Jefferson, which doesn't necessarily feel awesome, but man, dude, any given Sunday, and yeah, Diggs was one of the highest exposure or highest advance rate, right? It was Diggs of Devontae, Jefferson, Kelsey in the first round, and then just through a couple bad games, you get 3% Diggs. That is amazing. I am going to share and try
While you're sharing that, I just want to expand upon that Diggs point where, like, this shows you why, like, if you're drafting a high clip of players, like, if you drafted a lot of Diggs, you got a lot of Diggs teams through, and now you might have lost more teams than other people, but who cares once you get to the finals with a 3% Diggs team? Like, that's why drafting at 8% is probably bad.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to. I don't remember all the teams that I covered. I don't think we did this one. Nick has a team that it sounded like he was worried about Vikings resting guys. The Vikings are not going to rest anybody, so I wouldn't worry about that. I would worry about Kamara, who hasn't practiced yet this week, and they don't have anything to play for, so that's a concern. But Cousins, Jefferson, Dotson, a great guy to have. Tua's not going to play, so that hurts.
Yeah.
And that also hurts Tyreek. But definitely not going to be complaining about Kittle. George Pickens is a pretty fun player to have. A less expensive version and somehow still higher upside version on half the targets than Deontay Johnson. Ayuk, I still like
this
Ayuk.
Team's nice.
Yeah, I mean you're upset about Tyreek, and you need probably Kamara to play, but I mean shit.
I don't think he needs Kamara to play. He's got Dylan,
you want him
Dobbins,
to play because he was your second round pick, but Dylan, McKinnon, Dobbins. The couple, but Zay's down here. Corey Davis can put up a week. Wentz is back as a quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a pretty fun team. Akers, right? Akers all of a sudden is like a really good running back to have on your team.
We just got to remember that Kirk, Justin Jefferson stack is just so like duped. Like it is the most duped thing in the history of dupes right now. So
he wants a Wentz like 30 to like with 3 touchdowns to Jahan Dotson. Like Jefferson can still do his thing, but I think to win, that team wants wins. I'm just gonna go here from the bottom because I know some of you guys were watching. Mahomes, okay, another CD team. Go. Mahomes, McKinnon, Kelsey. Ooh, baby. That makes it move. Ken Walker. We talked a little bit about him.
Both Eagles receivers.
Both Eagles receivers, obviously nice. Another Pickens, Joe and Juju. So we got the old Chiefs onslaught, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because, of course you really want Kelsey, but like if Juju happens to pop up, he's the lowest owned of the group, and you're really not losing that much by even if he doesn't. KJ Osborne
chipping every Chief.
My God, yes you do. Snoop Connor, that's fun. Oh, and Hurts. And MVS. Yeah, so you just need Chiefs 50 ball, Eagles wide receivers, and CD. Right? Chiefs to score a boatload of points, CD and the Eagles wide receivers.
This feels like a team I should have had.
Yeah, why don't you have literally this exact team?
I know, the exact team. I should have had this exact team.
Yeah. It even has Noah Gray. You were the only person I know on the planet Earth drafting some Noah Gray, but he has Noah Gray. Meticulous with I didn't see if it was BBM or what, but Burrow, Mack, and Pickett at quarterback. Lost the big dog. Yeah.
Oh.
He was asking if it's live without the big dog. You were live with the big dog with Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones. I don't know. If Miles doesn't play, and he returned to practice today, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something good. The wide receivers are killer.
I like the Kirk, of course.
Yeah. T. Waddle, Deontay, Kirk, Amari, MVS, Isaiah McKenzie, Jacoby Myers, Hamler's out. Yeah, just sucks, man. That is the brutal run out of this stupid game that we play. That you had a really good team, and it died to Derrick Henry. Oh, okay. Now we're talking Trey Lance. Yep, Trey Lance and Darnell Mooney, 2 guys who have just, my God, I need to sue them for assault on my bank account. Those 2 guys on DraftKings, but there's Amon-Ra. If you can get Eckler, Saquon, Eckler, T, Amon-Ra, Kittle, Ayuk, Fields. So without Lance, he's fine. Fields and Goff, totally fine. Yeah. McKinnon, Jesus Christ. Okay, we finally got to some players who aren't smashes. Thank God, but not like he needs them.
3 Chargers with no Herbert's fun. I don't know how you got there, but you did.
If Eckler plays, really good team.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Okay. See, Short Gamer TV knows that you'll get reviewed if you put 0 RB in the Eric, this is a 0 RB team. And oh shit, he scored 179 points last week.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I hope somebody in his pod scored like once. That's just probably the pod that caused the controversy.
Everyone on Twitter, they're sharing. Short Gamer TV is like this. This motherfucker. This is why I don't have my 165 point team in. It's because of this asshole who also only used 2 running back scores and they both scored 13. So I'm almost terrified to look at how many points the wide receiver scored because obviously
Mahomes got to have double fine. Tight end, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be Hawk and Higbee is my guess. Okay. Yeah. Jefferson, unsurprising. We're going to slow it. T, also unsurprising. Didn't use Mike Williams score.
Devonta Smith.
Yep, here comes double tight end. Kittle. Higbee. Oh my God, your flex scored 22.8 points last week. That is ridiculous. So yeah, Mahomes.
His flex scored 25.9 points.
Is Mahomes? Oh yeah, because the tight end technically is in the. You're right. Naked Mahomes? Yeah, naked. No, McKinnon. So that's fine. Ken Walker,
Algier's so live this week, too.
I love Algier. Yeah, love Algier.
You want to talk about a popular DFS guy this week?
Oh,
Algier is going to be ridiculous.
Short Gamer said this is really fun. I think I literally said that. I promise I didn't know beforehand, but I would be so tilted. I would be tilted. I'd be on Twitter being like, excuse me, Rudman, Do you see my team here? Can we change this? This asshole just scored 180 points.
That's like that had to be like the close to the nuts
Seriously.
For the best boy. Yeah, that guy with 165 was definitely the Bret Hart gif where he's just breaking the computer because he can't turn it on, reset password gif. Yeah. That's nuts.
We do have to close. I apologize to you guys because I do have to get running, but closing thoughts, how are you feeling about like not necessarily your teams, but it could of course be viewed through the lens of your teams. Just, we've made it here, and it feels like every day is like waiting on pins and needles for, right? Is Jalen Hurts going to practice? Is James Conner coming back? Is Derrick Henry going to play? Is Tony Pollard going to play? And it's like, we're probably going to get more, right? Like, it's still only Thursday. Shit happens on Friday. Sometimes guys get ruled out or whatever. It just feels like total chaos. So I haven't even really been able to soak in the week because you're just like, are any of my guys going to get ruled out and sink my teams?
Well, I've spent the week listening to a lot of shanties because I'm preparing for next year for what we're going to do. So I'm trying to figure out the angle I'm going there. And I'm also excited I'm going to win $75,000 this week. Which is a lot of fun.
With your favorite structure and your favorite players.
Yeah, with the way I drafted every single team this year. Oh my God. I was going to wear the 0 RB shirt tonight and I'm like, I can't do it because I'm not allowed right now. Just not allowed.
I'm wearing an underdog shirt underneath here and I didn't make any underdog finals, so I'm equally a fraud as well.
I should wear my underdog shirt if we do the live sweat this weekend.
Yeah, well, it depends on how it goes. I got a thumbnail and everything ready to rock and roll for the Sunday show, but I'm not officially booking it until I know. If CD goes for 2 points tonight, we may not be having the show on Sunday.
Fair.
But I was just gonna say, the chaos can feel like it sucks sometimes, but I think it's going to be a really fun week 17. Of course, if you're one of the people that you got one team through and you lost Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard, right, and a quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, whatever, it sucks. That's the shitty of this game, but it's not always going to work out like that for you. I mean, I have one team it hurt, right? I have 3 teams in the finals. I have one team that was kind of net neutral. I have one team it hurt and one team the news has helped. And so that's just how this game goes. I think I am more hopeful for like excitement around this week with the matchups, and some of the players playing and not playing, that I think that this is going to be like a legendary week 17, and it culminates in Bills Bengals on Monday Night Football, the game of the week. So, like I said, it's been a little difficult to like truly get yourself jacked up and everything with the chaos. And I've been waiting on pins and needles with Hurts and Miles Sanders. But I think as we head into the weekend, it's going to be a lot of fun, even though tonight's game kind of sucks, because Sunday's going to be really fun. And Monday night is just going to be, it's going to decide everything, right? Whether it tanks, it goes nuts, whatever. The Monday Night Football game deciding everything is always fun. I know Felix can appreciate that.
It's the one thing I messed up in the original shanty is when I said ship it Chiefs and Broncos, and I knew it after we recorded it. I was like, it should have been not Chiefs and Broncos. It should have been Bills and Bengals, because it fits still, like it fits the song still, but they're the Monday night game. It was the way to go with it. That was the mistake. I knew it right when we recorded it. The other thing I just want to say before we leave, if you are sweating a finals team, the place to go sweat this finals team until we go live with the sweat show is in our Discord on the game day chat. People are going to be there sweating along with you, going nuts. They go nuts week 7, week 3.
Yeah.
Week 17 is going to be bonkers. I usually just let the chaos ensue and follow along and just read. I interject here and there, but that game day chat in the Discord on Spike Week is going to be absolutely bonkers. You should be there. Make sure you're in the Discord.
Great call. The game day chat is electric. Like you said, it is electric in week 7. We're
Yeah.
all tired. We don't even care about our teams anymore. And Gabe catches the long one, and I'm running around, throwing my hands up, and everybody's celebrating. We got Gabe emojis. We got, we're having fun, and that's in week 7. The last 3 weeks, week 14 to get in, and then the first round of the playoffs and the second round of the playoffs, it has been nuts. So if you want to have fun, sweat the games, right? Celebrate. Come in, dude. You got Dalvin Cook. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed you drafted that dust ball. When he rips off a 60-yarder, get your ass in there. Dalvin with like 46 ends, right? Exclamation point, flex emoji or whatever. Like, that's what it's for.
Robust RB, all caps.
Yeah. Suck it, 0 RB losers. We got emoji. We got Denny emojis, right? The 0 RB thing. We got all sorts of fun stuff in there. It's the place to be. I'm glad Rob brought it up, but I got to get out of here. I don't want to. Tomorrow is nuts. What I am going to try to do is have a show tomorrow that is playoff best ball focused, because we're gonna have 2 more days to wait before week 17 kicks off again on Sunday. And I think we're going to dive back into some more playoff best ball stuff. Drafters just launched their contest. It's actually pretty big, so it should be quite a bit of fun. I think we're going to try to get into that, but be on the lookout in Discord or on Twitter. And so until probably Sunday, unless Rob and I's teams are so bad that we're like drinking our sorrows away and we don't want to be in public, I think you'll probably see us on Sunday to end the best ball regular season. So we'll see you guys probably in a couple of days.